The gates had barely opened at Sobeys Stadium when the flood began. Thousands of fans, waving Philippine flags, wearing custom shirts, carrying gifts for their hero, poured into the Canadian Open grounds with such force that the tournament literally had to pause. Alex Mania has officially shut down Toronto. The gates at Sobeys Stadium had barely opened when the flood began. Not a flood of water but a flood of people. Thousands of them, waving Philippine flags, wearing custom Alex Eala shirts, carrying gifts, banners and signs that screamed Eala-mania and Mahal Kita. They poured into the Canadian Open grounds with such force that the tournament literally had to pause. Eala-mania was in full swing in Toronto, reported the Philippine Star. It seems wherever Alex Eala plays, she has a home court advantage. It was no different in Toronto. The numbers were staggering. According to tournament director Carl Hale, Eala's opening match at center court was completely sold out. Our stadium has 10,077 seats, and the Filipino community for months now has been calling in, asking when does she play? Who does she play? Where does she play? Hale recalled. My mother knows her uncle, sister's brother, cousin. They were so excited to have her. When we announced it, the phones rang, tickets sold, and boom. It was sold out on Wednesday night just like that. The demand was so overwhelming that organizers were forced to move Eala's match from the 2,800-seat grandstand to center court. We can't put her on there because she probably sold upwards of 5,000 tickets, Hale told the Tennis Channel. According to Tennis Connected, Eala was the first player, male or female, to sell out an opening Wednesday night session at the Canadian Open since Serena Williams. But the flood wasn't just about ticket sales. It was about what the fans brought with them. Philippine flags hung from railings like a World Cup match. Fans dressed in red, blue and white filled the seats. One supporter even showed up wearing a dinosaur costume wrapped in the Philippine flag. Families attended their first ever professional tennis match just to see her. The atmosphere transformed Sobeys Stadium into what felt like Little Manila. The chants of "Let's go, Alex" rained from the stands, and when Eala finally appeared, the stadium erupted. The fans didn't just come to watch Alex Eala play. They came bearing gifts, tokens of appreciation, symbols of their pride and love for the young Filipina who had become a global phenomenon. And the sheer volume of offerings left even the 21-year-old sensation overwhelmed. Before she even stepped onto center court at Sobeys Stadium, Eala had already been showered with love. The Filipino community in Toronto, one of the largest in the world, had been preparing for her arrival for months. Carl Hale, the tournament director, had seen it all firsthand. The Filipino community for months now has been calling in, asking when does she play, who does she play, where does she play? Hale recalled with a laugh. When we announced it, the phones rang, tickets sold, and boom, it was sold out on Wednesday night just like that. The gifts came from every corner of the community. A Toronto-based Filipino lifestyle brand, Calamansi Collective, presented Eala with a selection of its signature pieces, including staple caps, the Not Today Tita t-shirt, and the popular Filipino party leftovers tote. Shortly after receiving the gift, Eala was photographed carrying the tote, creating a memorable moment for the brand and Toronto's Filipino community. For Calamansi Collective founder Chris Pangilinan, the gift was a simple way to welcome Eala while recognizing her achievements on the international tennis stage. We've been following Alex's journey for years and have been incredibly inspired by everything she's accomplished. As a Toronto-based Filipino brand, we simply wanted to welcome her to the city with a few pieces that celebrate Filipino culture through humor and shared experiences. But the gifts didn't stop there. A local jewelry maker, Kristine Dee Jewelry, had specially designed earrings for Eala, a gift inspired by courage, passion, grace, and Filipino pride. The earrings were handcrafted and bespoke, depicting stories of beauty and elegance. When Eala wore them during her match against Parks, they immediately caught the attention of fans around the world. It was a lovely surprise for us to see her wearing them, the jewelry maker told GMA News. The earrings joined a growing collection of culturally significant accessories Eala had worn on the global stage, from the Sampaguita-themed hair tie she donned at Wimbledon to the custom visor, featuring the Filipino phrase "Kapag lumago, hindi nahihindo." The outpouring of support extended far beyond physical gifts. The atmosphere at Sobeys Stadium was a gift in itself. Eala-mania was in full swing in Toronto, reported the Philippine Star. It seems wherever Alex Eala plays, she has a home court advantage. It was no different in Toronto. Even fellow players noticed. Leila Fernandez, who represents Canada but also has Filipino heritage through her mother, spoke about the phenomenon. The Filipino community are super proud. They're proud of anybody who comes from the country, who are part Filipino. The fan base is super amazing, loving. In any country, any parts of the world, you're going to see a couple Filipino flags. And they're going to come and watch my match, Eala's match, and it's a super loving community. Eala herself was moved by the overwhelming generosity. In her post-match interview, she made sure to acknowledge the fans who had traveled from across Canada, the United States, and even the Philippines to support her. Thank you to everyone who's here supporting tennis and creating atmospheres like this. It's really the pleasure of my life to experience these things, she said. I am eternally grateful. I mean, I just came off Washington, so I really feel like this is a celebration, she added. But the gifts went beyond material items. The Filipino community gave Eala something far more valuable, their undivided attention, their passion, their love. And in Toronto, that love transformed a tennis stadium into a celebration of Filipino identity. The chants of "Let's go, Alex" echoed through Sobeys Stadium like thunder. Philippine flags waved from every section. The tournament organizers had even added chicken adobo to the food court, a first in tournament history, just to honor Eala's heritage. It's the first time I've ever heard of a tournament halfway through adding a food offering just because of a player, Hale admitted. Eala, who had left the Philippines at just 13 years old to chase a dream that seemed impossible, now found herself surrounded by a community that had embraced her as one of their own. The gifts, the flags, the chants, they were more than just tokens of appreciation. They were a reminder of why she played the game. A reminder of the millions of Filipinos who saw themselves in her success. A reminder that no matter where she traveled in the world, she would always have a home. The Eala effect wasn't just about ticket sales. It wasn't just about the flags. It wasn't even just about the chants that shook Sobeys Stadium like thunder. It was about something far more unexpected, something that proved the Filipina sensation had truly taken over Toronto in ways nobody could have predicted. Halfway through the tournament, the food concessionaire at Sobeys Stadium made a decision that would go down in Canadian Open history. They swapped their chicken teriyaki rice bowl for chicken adobo, a traditional Filipino dish, all because of Alexandra La playing tonight, noted Lucas Weiss, a sports writer for The Athletic of the New York Times. It was a move that left tournament director Carl Hale completely speechless. It's the first time I've ever heard of a tournament halfway through adding a food offering just because of a player, Hale admitted to ABS-CBN's Diane Castilla show. It's the first time I've ever heard of a tournament halfway through running out of food offering just because of a player. The concessionaire, the Changeover Kitchen, priced the chicken adobo rice bowl at CAD $17 and quickly sold out. A Filipino flag was proudly displayed at the stall as supporters flocked to get a taste of home. Consul General Kristine Sal shared a photo of a beautifully presented adobo rice bowl topped with broccoli and a tiny Philippine flag toothpick, a vibrant presentation that captured both heritage, pride and a healthy twist on the classic dish. For the Filipino community in Toronto, the adobo was more than food. It was a symbol of home, a reminder that even thousands of miles away they could still feel connected to their roots. And at the center of it all was a 21-year-old tennis player who had become the face of that connection. The adobo wasn't just a menu change. It was a testament to the power of representation, to the fact that Eala's presence had transformed a Canadian tennis tournament into a celebration of Filipino culture, to the reality that Alex Mania had officially invaded Toronto in ways that even the most optimistic fans couldn't have predicted. My fellow Filipinos, week after week I see you supporting me. Week after week I see how much you love your fellow Filipino, and that makes me incredibly proud to be Filipino, Eala said in her post-match interview. She was right. From the 10,000-seat sellout to the adobo rice bowls, from the Philippine flags hanging from railings like a World Cup match to the fans who had traveled from across Canada and the United States just to see her play, Toronto had become a celebration of Filipino pride. One Toronto supporter summed it up perfectly. Alex is putting the Filipino community on the map, and that may be the real phenomenon. Eala isn't simply attracting existing tennis fans. She is creating new ones. The Filipina community in Toronto didn't just show up to watch Alex Eala play. They came bearing gifts that told 1,000 stories. Stories of pride, gratitude, hope, and an unbreakable connection to a homeland thousands of miles away. The Calamansi Collective, a Toronto-based Filipino lifestyle brand, was the first to officially welcome the Filipina sensation. They presented Eala with a selection of their signature pieces, including inked staple caps, the iconic Not Today Tita t-shirt, and the popular Filipino Party Leftovers totes. Shortly after receiving the gift, Eala was photographed carrying the tote, creating a moment that resonated deeply with the Filipino-Canadian community. For Chris Pangilinan, the founder of Calamansi Collective, the gift was about more than just apparel. It was about connection. We've been following Alex's journey for years and have been incredibly inspired by everything she's accomplished, Pangilinan said. As a Toronto-based Filipino brand, we simply wanted to welcome her to the city with a few pieces that celebrate Filipino culture through humor and shared experiences. The items selected for Eala weren't just random merchandise. Each piece drew from everyday Filipino moments, family connections, and cultural references that resonated with the Filipino diaspora. The "Not Today" Tita shirt, a playful nod to the ubiquitous Filipino ani, and the party leftovers tote, a humorous take on the Filipino tradition of sending guests home with food, captured the spirit of a community that finds joy and pride in their shared cultural identity. The Calamansi Collective even invited Eala to attend Calamansi Fest, its annual Toronto event celebrating Filipino culture, though her availability would depend on her tournament schedule. But the most poignant gift came from a small jewelry maker who had been watching Eala's journey with quiet admiration. Kristine Dee Jewelry, an artisanal and bespoke fine jewelry brand based in Bonifacio Global City, had specially designed earrings for Eala. The earrings, handcrafted and made with meticulous attention to detail, were inspired by the tennis star's courage, passion, grace, and Filipino pride. And when Eala walked onto center court wearing them during her match against Alicia Parks, the jewelry maker was completely stunned. "It was a lovely surprise for us to see her wearing them," they told GMA News. The earrings were more than just an accessory. They were a symbol of the Filipina community's unwavering support, a gift inspired by a champion who had captured their hearts. They were a reminder that Eala's journey was not just her own, but the journey of millions of Filipinos who saw themselves in her success. The earrings joined a growing collection of culturally significant accessories Eala had worn on the global stage. At Wimbledon, she had donned a Sampaguita-themed hair tie, a tribute to the national flower of the Philippines, with Nike confirming it was a one-off gift and not for commercial sale. In 2026, she wore a custom visor featuring the Filipino phrase, "Kapag lumago hindi nahinto," a powerful reminder of her commitment to never stop growing. The gifts from the Filipino community, however, told a different story. They were not just about Eala's accomplishments. They were about the collective pride of a diaspora that had found a hero in a 21-year-old tennis player. They were about the hope that Eala represented, the hope that a young Filipina could compete with the best in the world and win. The Filipino community in Toronto even provided support for players with Filipino heritage beyond Eala. Leila Fernandez, who represents Canada but also has Filipino roots through her mother, spoke about the phenomenon. "The Filipino community are super proud. They're proud of anybody who comes from the country who are part Filipino. The fan base is super amazing, loving," Fernandez said. "In any country, any parts of the world, you're going to see a couple Filipino flags. And they're going to come and watch my match, Eala's match, and it's a super loving community." Even the food told a story. Tournament director Carl Hale confirmed that the Canadian Open's food vendor had added chicken adobo to the menu, a first in tournament history. "It's the first time I've ever heard of a tournament halfway through adding a food offering just because of a player," Hale admitted. The adobo rice bowl, priced at $17, quickly sold out as fans flocked to get a taste of home. A Filipino flag was proudly displayed at the stall, creating a moment of cultural connection that transcended the tennis itself. Eala, deeply moved by the outpouring of love, made sure to acknowledge the community that had embraced her. "Thank you to everyone who's supporting tennis and creating atmospheres like this. It's really the pleasure of my life to experience these things," she said. She then addressed her kababayan in Tagalog, delivering a message that would echo across the world. "Alam niyo kababayan, linggo-linggo ko kayong nakikita sinu support ako. Linggo-linggo kung nakikita kung gaano ninyo kamahal ang kapwa nyo Pinoy. Kaya proud na proud na proud na proud ako din maging Pinoy." The gifts, the adobo, the flags, the chants, they all told the same story. Alex Eala wasn't just a tennis player. She was a symbol of a Filipino pride. A beacon of hope for a diaspora that had found a champion in a 21-year-old who had left home at 13 to chase a dream. And in Toronto, the community had answered her with love, gratitude, and an unwavering belief that the best was yet to come. The flood of fans, the gifts, the adobo, it all led to one unforgettable moment. When Alex Eala walked onto center court at Sobeys Stadium, she wasn't just representing herself. She was representing millions of Filipinos who saw their own dreams reflected in her success, and they had come prepared. Signs screamed Eala-mania and Mahal Kita from every section of the stadium. Some wore customized Alex Eala shirts, proudly displaying her name on their chests. Families attended their first ever professional tennis match just to see her. One supporter even showed up wearing a dinosaur costume wrapped in the Philippine flag. The atmosphere transformed Sobeys Stadium into what felt like Little Manila. Philippine flags hung from railings like a World Cup match. Fans dressed in red, blue, and white filled the seats. The chants of "Let's go, Alex" reigned from the stands with a ferocity that left even the most seasoned tennis observers stunned. It's amazing to see the Filipino community come out in huge numbers. Alex is a true gift to tennis and to our tournament, tournament director Carl Hale said. He had never seen anything like it. Not in nearly 2 decades of running one of the oldest WTA 1000 tournaments in the world. But the most powerful gift of all came before Eala even stepped onto the court. In a quiet moment that would go viral across social media, a fan approached Eala with a Philippine flag asking for her autograph. Eala looked at the flag, then back at the fan. She gently shook her head and said 4 words that would define her character: Bawal po sa flag. The Filipina star was following Republic Act No. 8491, the flag and heraldic code of the Philippines, which explicitly prohibits anything that would deface the national flag, including signatures, words, and even images. The moment was captured and shared widely, earning Eala praise for respecting her country's flag and its laws. "I think this win really meant a lot," Eala said after her victory over Parks. "It was a great opportunity for me to learn and to grow as a player." The win itself was historic. Eala had just become the first Filipino player, male or female, to win a main draw match at the Canadian Open. She had avenged her Australian Open heartbreak against Parks, who had beaten her 6-6-3, 6-2 just 7 months earlier. And she had extended her winning streak to 6 matches on the North American hardcourt swing. Eala admitted she was overwhelmed by the reception. "I think I was so hyped after the match it didn't end in the on-court interview. Even when I was in the gym I was still so hyped," she said. But it was what she said next that truly captured the moment. Addressing the crowd that had transformed Toronto into a home away from home, Eala expressed her gratitude in the only way that felt right, in her native tongue. "Alam niyo kababayan, linggo-linggo ko kayong nakikita. Sinusuporta ko linggo-linggo kong nakikita kung gaano ninyo kamahal ang kapwa niyo Pinoy. Kaya proud na proud ako din maging Pinoy. Maraming salamat mga kababayan. Mahal ko kayong lahat." The message echoed across the world. And in that moment, the Canadian Open was left with something it would never forget, proof that Alex Eala wasn't just a tennis player. She was a symbol of pride, hope, and the unbreakable spirit of the Filipino people.